Hi, my name is Dana Arnett, co-host of Wicked Marketing, along with my partner, Carlos Sapene. You can find more information about us and our business on LinkedIn, or if you have any questions, email us at info@wickedbionic.com. Subscribe to Wicked Marketing on Apple Podcasts and write an awesome review for us. We're also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Google Play. We're here today to talk about business plateaus, something that's been a big point of conversation for us and other businesses, some clients that have had some plateaus. Maybe you've experienced something like that. So I wanted to give you kind of some of our experiences around that as a business and some ideas and ways that getting beyond it for your business.
Yeah, so let's start by telling a story about something that sort of triggered this conversation, right? So we were reading an article the other day, and it was talking about IBM turning 100 years, and this happened a while ago, a couple of years ago. And so when they turned 100 years, they put out a 4-page article on the New York Times.
Ad, right? Four ads.
Yeah. On the New York Times and the Washington Post and a bunch of other newspapers. And they were touting the fact that they were 100 years old.
I would too.
Yeah. And what that brought up in the article was the fact that if you look at the top 100 out of the 500
Fortune 500.
from Fortune 500, the top 100 companies, only 6 remain.
In 100 years of doing business, only 6 businesses remain.
Yeah. So these were the top 100 out of the Fortune 500 from 1961. So it's not even 100 years. This is
58 years. That's 58 years.
So it makes you think about all these even larger companies, right? Because they're much larger than probably most of the people that are listening to, and they didn't make it that long.
Right.
They either got purchased or they went into bankruptcy or they closed, or for whatever reason they just don't exist anymore. So it makes you think about the longevity of your business and what you need to do in order to keep that business alive.
And one of the statistics I've heard since being a business for myself is that within the first 5 years, most businesses that close because they haven't done marketing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting? And we're at 4.8 years, and I don't think we're going anywhere.
Hopefully.
I'm determined.
Otherwise, this podcast is for naught. But what's important as part of that conversation is that there is something called the business arc of life, right? So every business goes through this arc, and they go about it in different ways. So the arc starts with you being a startup, right? If you're launching a business from the beginning. And if you think about when we were starting up, right, the first things that you're doing are figuring things out, right? So you're continually reinventing, trying new things, implementing everything that
Wicked
you know,
Bionic, for sure.
Defining your business. So you have to be ready to be that not pragmatic person, that idealistic person that is making decisions and sort of a lot of it is planned with your business strategy, and part of it is flying by the seat of your pants.
Part of it is leaps of faith, big leaps of faith.
Yeah. So what happens is that once that sort of dust settles and your business is starting to go into growth mode, right?
Scale.
That scale, whether it's for the first small scale sprout that comes out of
Maybe hiring a person, right, to work with you, an admin.
Yeah, it could be anything that takes you into growth mode. Then businesses get excited, right? We're growing, things are going really good for us. Let's just keep doing what we're doing.
Exactly how we're doing it, because we got the magic formula.
So then they stop that element of trying new things, right? Or they focus on how do we become the best at this one thing that we're doing. And what happens is that, they focus on that and focus on that. A lot of those businesses stay so focused in those operational pieces that they miss out on the opportunity side of growth.
They're not seeing it because they're so focused.
They're focused because they're growing.
Right.
But what happens is all those growths, if iterating on them,
or
if you're not
innovating, paying
in
attention to your
them.
competition or what's in the marketplace.
Yeah. Or if you're too focused at paying attention to your competition coming into your marketplace. Because as soon as you become really good at something and people start seeing that you're becoming,
Then flattery happens.
and from flattery comes copy.
Right.
Right? So the point of this is that growth leads to plateau.
Right.
Growth does not lead to growth if you do not change your strategy, build new strategies. And it doesn't mean that you have to change the core of your business. It just means that you have to be aware of your business.
And open. And I think it's kind of like a relationship too, right? It is a natural thing. Peaks and valleys are natural. And a relationship hits that plateau. And then like, how do I start watering it again in a way that's going to let us grow even closer or further and moving ahead in our lives?
Well, and that's, you see it everywhere, right? Madonna wouldn't have been Madonna as big as she was had
kinda over her now,
Madonna. I know, but had she not reinvented herself?
She changed
She
the landscape.
reinvented herself so many times throughout the process, reinvented how she marketed herself, reinvented what she stood for in order to keep relevant
right.
and current, right? But in going back to the case of businesses, we're not saying that you have to, if you're a shoe store, you have to all of a sudden start selling pants or sportswear, right? That's not what
out of
we're
your wheelhouse
saying.
necessarily.
Like, don't stop doing what you were doing that's working. It's what can you learn from what you've been doing, and how can you expand from it, and how can you reposition your brand, remarket your brand to that same core
Right.
that you've already built. And a great example of that is our friends at Amazon, right? As big as Amazon is.
Well, they're not our friends, but they're our friends, right?
They're everybody's friend. They're probably listening. So the idea there was that Amazon started as this marketplace selling products, right? And then they figured out that through something that was called Z Shops.
I never even heard of that.
I know, it's too early on for you, sorry. But they opened up their marketplace to brick and mortar stores and people that wanted to start their own business, or people that had an ongoing e-commerce business but were not drawing enough traffic, so that they could take advantage of the Amazon platform to sell on Amazon. And who hasn't bought stuff on Amazon?
Right, and bought or sold or whatever. Yeah, it's an incredible place. Everybody thinks there's a lot of exposure by getting on Amazon.
So you would think that that's where they scaled
Their
up,
revenue would be there, yes.
That's where their revenue came from. And it's not, actually. So Amazon's retail side operated at a loss forever. What happened was that through that process of them opening up to stores to have the ability to sell on Amazon instead of on their shops, they figured out, wait a second, we have all this amazing, stable technology infrastructure, right, that we've built to run Amazon, that we have all this investment in. And now we've opened that up to all these shops, and they've started using it, and they trust it because it's Amazon and it's scalable and it's solid. What if we offer this as a service that has nothing to do with Amazon? Whether you have a shop, you don't have a shop, you're selling on Amazon or you're not selling on Amazon, you could have access to that same solid infrastructure, secure infrastructure. So that developed into something that's called Amazon Web Services.
AWS.
And that's where we host most of our clients'
So explain what
on.
AWS is for the consumer.
AWS, what it is it gives common folk, right, whoever wants to, and actually a ton of the big corporate folk use Amazon Web Services, access to scalable, secure hosting, access to scalable, secure content storage on the cloud, everything that helps sort of secure, deliver your content quickly to people, because we all know how fast you have to deliver content nowadays.
Right.
Any sort of editorial, articles, videos, all of that. They allow you to use their infrastructure, which you obviously pay for, but you also pay for what you use.
Right.
So if today you have 100 people on your website, if it's configured correctly, obviously on Amazon Web Services, if tomorrow you have 10,000 and the day after you have 1 million, you don't have to be, whereas in the past your server would have crashed and your website would have come down, they enable you to scale up that quickly.
Right. There's tiers.
You only pay. So let's say this happened, and this is actually a story that happened to me when I was at E! Entertainment, right? I think it was 50 servers or something like that where E! Online ran. And then on top of that, I had like 10,000 servers that were from a company called Akamai that were supposed to handle those peaks for me, right? And that worked most of the time, right? One morning, we walk into the office and Michael Jackson had died. And if anyone listening remembers that day, everyone just glued themselves to television.
E! was a major deliverer of that information and content.
Major news network for entertainment. So our site lasted about 3 minutes, and it came down because the amount of people coming to it all at once, it wasn't something that we could scale up to. We weren't
Nor
ready.
did you expect. You weren't ready for it, yeah.
I mean, I thought we were with 50,000 servers or whatever we had through Akamai, but it just happened so quickly that the infrastructure didn't exist in a way that was as elastic, which is what is called now the Elastic Cloud, as we needed it to.
Right.
The important thing going back to Amazon is that it allows you, their services allow you to pay for that peak only on that day, and the next day when it goes back to normal, you're paying for only the traffic.
So you can expand and contract is really what he's saying. It's like if you have a lot of traffic or no traffic, it's not a big investment. Wicked Bionic, we build all of our websites. They're all built on AWS because it's stable. It's Amazon, and we found that GoDaddy couldn't handle, which is what we used to use before, but GoDaddy couldn't handle our clients, and it's not even a volume, but Amazon's just doing it better and smarter.
Yeah, they're doing it better and smarter, and they offer all these services that make it more flexible, right? So we don't want to make this an ad for Amazon, but the point of it was that they learn through that transformation.
Right.
So you have to be aware with your business of what you're doing, not only that's working, but what opportunities come out of that. So there's two different mindsets in that, right? There's the operational leader mindset, and there is the opportunity leader mindset. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be one or the other.
Right.
You just have to be able to identify or be aware, be conscious of identifying the moments when, even though you're in an operational mindset because your business is in a growth spurt, right? So your business is growing and it's doing great. If you see an opportunity in there, it's how do we make the space to take advantage of this opportunity? And it could be a small opportunity or it could be a large opportunity. That's not what matters. What matters is that you identify it, you make the space to pursue it, you look at how it will affect your brand, what the possibilities are that it brings for your brand, the possible benefits, because that small change, that small opportunity,
little hook. Yeah.
Like Amazon found, of just allowing people onto their platform to sell their own products, led them to the side of their business that now is profitable.
Their biggest moneymaker. And I think, it kind of speaks to, as you were talking, I was thinking, that's why team is important. That's why having your professionals around you, like marketers or whoever is in your sphere, or strategy people, or just spending the time. We were just talking to my business mentor, Allison Maslin, about spending time, a couple hours every week, just without anything, thinking time, because that's where the inspiration comes. If you're informed and you know what's going on and out in the marketplace and you're looking at the analytics of your business, then what's so great is if you give yourself that time, inspiration comes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's part of what we're advocating as part of the strategy side of our business is a methodology that we've developed at Wicked, which we call ADD, right? So people are familiar with ADD as attention deficit disorder, and it's purposely named that way because when you are in an operational mindset, you don't see outside of the box, right? So you have your box, you have your opportunity, you are working in your business, not on your business. And by what happens a lot, or what we hear a lot from our clients is, I don't have the time to think about anything else, because my business is growing and I don't have the time because I have all these operations.
Full.
Yeah.
Don't make me add something else.
Don't make me add something else. Don't make me think about marketing. Handle the marketing for me. Don't make me think about my growth. Handle my growth for me. So we run into that, which led to us developing ADD, which stands for automate, delegate, dedicate. And it's a process that helps you look at the very minute level, helps you look at what are things that I can take off my plate efficiently in order to make the time and space that I need, so that I can identify these opportunities that are going to help me build my business.
One of the great things to do, and if you haven't done it before, I'll tell you, I've done it quite a few times in the last year and a half, is to spend a day with a little notepad next to you, or your little, your phone or your iPad. And as you're doing your tasks in a day, ask yourself, could that be given to somebody else? Do I really need to do that? Or could somebody else do that? That's kind of the simplest form of ADD in looking at one part of it, is what am I doing that really could be done by somebody else? And what that
Or something else.
Or something else. What really helped for me was I knew I needed a project manager at the company. The company desperately needed that, and it wasn't something that I enjoy anymore. And when we hired somebody, I saw my plate opened up and freed my mind to think about bigger things for our company because I had somebody handling all those tasks.
And for that project manager. So a project manager is brilliant.
He's brilliant.
He's excellent. He's brought all this new ways of doing things and information to our business. He's all about efficiency. But what he's also brought to us is peace of mind. The ability to realize that when you're in an operational mindset, you think you're the only one that can execute.
That's right.
And when you turn that into an opportunity mindset, then it's opened up, in the case of Dana in particular, it's opened her up to be able to look at, okay, now that operations are being helped by this
and the clients are good,
great person that's come into our team, how do I utilize everything that I've learned this far to then grow our business through different opportunities? And that's led to the development of our upcoming sales strategy for our own business.
Exactly, which we'll talk about on another podcast because it's very exciting to both of us and super duper fun. But we thank you so much for joining us today, and having a moment to just listen and talk to you has been a great thing for both Carlos and I.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Hopefully this helps you realize a little bit how you can spend some time improving on your business.
Thank you for joining us. Wicked Marketing can be found on Apple Music, Spotify, iHeart, and ubngo.com. Check back on Tuesdays for a new episode. We'll talk to you then.